The sleek silver ship hung like a ghost above Earth. No human could see it through its perfect cloaking shield. Commander Tahoe stood tall on the bridge, his dark uniform crisp and perfect. His eyes moved across the glowing screens that showed cities, towns, and villages all over the blue planet below. "Another day watching these simple creatures," Tahoe said with a slight smile. He turned to Officer Juu, who nodded in agreement. Juu had served with Tahoe for many years, both of them veterans of the Galactic Confederation's observation corps. "Yes, Commander. The humans continue their primitive routines. They build, they fight, they love, but they remain unaware of the greater universe," Juu replied, adjusting her sensor equipment. The Confederation had watched Earth for over 300 years. They classified developing worlds based on their potential. Earth was about to receive its final classification, Class C, a world with limited cosmic significance, not worth much attention in the grand scheme of galactic affairs. Tahoe had seen dozens of worlds like this one. His career spanned decades of quiet observation. This mission would be his last before retirement. A simple, final assessment before the Confederation moved their monitoring resources elsewhere. "Commander, the South Asian region is experiencing severe flooding," called out Analyst Minho, his voice rising with interest. "I'm seeing something unusual in the human response patterns." Tahoe sighed but walked over to Minho's station. The duty of thorough observation required attention to all details, even if he expected nothing new. The holographic display zoomed in on a coastal region hit by massive waves. Buildings had collapsed, roads were underwater, and thousands of people were stranded. Yet amid the chaos, Tahoe noticed organized groups forming without official direction. Ordinary people created rescue teams, building makeshift boats from debris. They formed human chains through dangerous waters to reach those trapped. "They've had no training for this," Minho said, his fingers dancing across the controls to enhance the image. "Look at how they adapt tools for purposes they weren't designed for. That group is using a refrigerator door as a raft." Tahoe watched as humans with no special equipment dove repeatedly into dangerous waters to save strangers. Others converted a damaged gas station into a medical center, using simple knowledge to treat the injured with limited supplies. "Interesting," Tahoe murmured, but hardly. A violent shake interrupted his words. The ship lurched sideways, throwing crew members against walls and consoles. Red warning lights flashed as alarms screamed throughout the vessel. "Status report," Tahoe shouted, grabbing a support beam to stay upright. "Multiple system failures," cried Engineer Subin from her station. "The main power core is destabilizing. Something's interfering with our antimatter containment." Tahoe had never seen such a sudden and complete failure. The observation vessel contained the most advanced technology in the Confederation, reliable systems with multiple backups. "Could it be an attack?" Juu asked, rushing to the weapons console. "Impossible," Tahoe replied. "Earth has no technology capable of detecting us, let alone attacking." The ship dropped several hundred meters in seconds, making everyone's stomachs lurch. Outside the viewports, the blackness of space gave way to the blue of Earth's atmosphere. "We've lost the cloaking system," Minho reported, his face pale. "And gravity engines are failing." Another violent shake nearly threw Tahoe to the floor. "Activate emergency landing protocols," he ordered. "Send distress signals to Confederation headquarters." "Communications are down," Juu said, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. "We're cut off." The sleek observation vessel, once the pride of the Confederation fleet, was now just another object obeying Earth's gravity. Through the viewports, Tahoe could see the curve of the planet becoming flatter as they descended. Clouds rushed past at frightening speed. "Find us a remote landing zone," Tahoe commanded. "Minimal human contact is our priority." Subin worked frantically at her console. "I've managed to restore partial control of the maneuvering thrusters. We can guide our descent, but this will not be gentle." The ship broke through the clouded layer. Below them stretched vast forests with mountains in the distance. No human settlements were visible. A small mercy. Everyone to crash positions, Tahoe ordered. The crew strapped themselves into special seats designed to absorb impact. Some worked until the last possible moment, trying to improve their chances of survival. The ground rushed toward them. Trees became distinct shapes rather than a green blur. Tahoe's mind raced with protocol violations, repair plans, and containment procedures for what would now become an inevitable first contact situation. Braced for impact, Subin shouted. The ship plowed into the forest, tearing through ancient trees like they were twigs. Metal screamed as the outer hull crumpled. The advanced materials designed to withstand the vacuum of space were tested against solid Earth and found wanting. Inside, despite the crash restraints, crew members were thrown violently as the ship carved a deep trench through the wilderness. Equipment broke free from walls, becoming dangerous projectiles. A support beam collapsed, narrowly missing Juwu. When the vessel finally came to rest, an eerie silence fell. The constant hum of engines and life support, so familiar that the crew usually didn't notice it, was gone. Instead, they heard strange sounds filtering through the damaged hull, wind in trees, animal calls, the trickle of a nearby stream. Earth sounds. Tahoe unstrapped himself with shaking hands. "Report," he called out, his voice sounding odd in the quiet ship. One by one, crew members responded. There were injuries, some serious, but no deaths. The ship, however, was another matter. "We cannot leave," Subin concluded after checking her damaged systems. "Main engines are destroyed. The communication array is gone. We are stranded." Tahoe moved to a cracked viewport. Through it, he could see Earth's forest, vibrant and alive in ways their stereo observations had never captured. Somewhere beyond those trees, humans lived their lives, unaware that representatives of an advanced galactic civilization had just crashed on their world. "Set up a perimeter," Tahoe ordered. "Treat the wounded. Salvage what you can from the ship. We need to prepare." "Prepare for what, Commander?" Minho asked. Tahoe turned from the viewport, his face solemn. "For the moment when those primitive humans find us." The morning sun filtered through tall pine trees as Dr. Jinnah Park led her small team through the forest. 3 days ago, locals had reported seeing a falling star crash in these mountains. As an astrobiologist at the nearby university, Jinnah had immediately organized an expedition. "The satellite images show a clear impact trail for almost a mile," said Do-Yun, her research assistant, studying a tablet as they hiked. "Whatever fell here was big." Jinnah nodded but said nothing. Her mind was racing with possibilities she didn't dare speak aloud. For 15 years, she had studied potential forms of extraterrestrial life, publishing papers that earned her mockery from colleagues. Dr. Alien. They called her behind her back, sometimes to her face. "We should be close," said Minji, the team's physicist. She adjusted her backpack nervously. "What exactly do you think we'll find?" Before Jinnah could answer, they emerged into a freshly created clearing. Trees lay broken like matchsticks, leading to a massive metallic object half buried in the earth. Steam rose from its silver hull, which gleamed despite being crumpled at one end. "That's not a meteor," whispered Do-Yun, his tablet slipping from his fingers. Jinnah stood frozen, her heart pounding in her chest. After years of theorizing, searching the stars with radio telescopes, analyzing unusual atmospheric readings, here was proof. Undeniable proof that humans were not alone. "It's a ship," she said softly. "An actual spacecraft." The 4 researchers stared in silence, their minds struggling to process what their eyes were seeing. Minji pulled out a radiation detector, which beeped softly. "Unknown energy signature, but radiation levels are safe," she reported, her scientific training taking over despite her shock. Jinnah took a deep breath. "We need to approach carefully. If there's anyone inside, they might be hurt. Remember, we're scientists first. We're here to help and learn." Inside the damaged vessel, Commander Tahoe moved carefully through the smoke-filled corridor. Emergency lights cast an eerie red glow over his injured crew. Officer Sunwoo lay against a wall, a deep gash in his side oozing blue fluid. Medical Officer Yunji worked frantically to stabilize him. Commander called Tactical Officer Chuno. Sensors detect multiple approaching life forms. Humans. Taho's expression hardened. How many? 4. They appear unarmed, but we cannot be certain. Taho had studied thousands of reports on human behavior. When faced with the unknown, these primitives typically responded with fear, then violence. His crew was vulnerable. Their weapon systems damaged, half his people injured. Take defensive positions, he ordered. Stun weapons only. No fatalities unless absolutely necessary. The healthy crew members positioned themselves near the damaged airlock, which had been jammed open in the crash. Through the gap, they could see figures moving at the edge of the clearing. Remember, Taho said grimly, these primitives will likely attack out of fear. It is their nature. Outside, Jinnah approached the vessel slowly, her hands raised in a universal gesture of peace. She had insisted the others stay back while she made first contact. If something happened to her, they would be witnesses. "Hello," she called out. "We've come to help. We mean no harm." Her words echoed across the clearing, met only with silence. She took another careful step forward, noting details of the ship's construction. No visible propulsion system, no wings or control surfaces. Nothing like any human aircraft. "We have medical supplies," she continued, gesturing to the bag slung over her shoulder. "If you're hurt, we can help." Inside the ship, Taho watched the human female approach alone. Her behavior contradicted everything in the Confederation's database. She appeared calm, methodical, showing curiosity rather than fear. "What is she saying?" he asked Communications Officer Kunki, who was running her words through a translator. "She offers assistance, medical help." Hyunki sounded confused. "This doesn't match expected first contact behavior patterns." Sunwoo groaned in pain, his condition worsening. Yunji looked up at Taho with worried eyes. "Commander, I cannot stabilize him with our damaged equipment. He needs advanced care." Taho faced an impossible choice: maintain isolation or risk exposure to save his officer's life. As he hesitated, the human woman took another step closer. "I can see you're in there," Jinnah called. "I'm a scientist, a doctor. Please let me help." Something in her voice, a genuine concern that transcended species, made Taho's decision. "Let her approach," he ordered, "but be ready." Jaina's heart nearly stopped when a figure appeared in the damaged doorway of the craft. The being stood upright like a human but was clearly not human. Taller and thinner, with skin that seemed to shimmer slightly in the sunlight. Its eyes were larger, set in a face with subtle but unmistakable alien features. For a moment, they simply stared at each other, two intelligent species meeting for the first time. Then the alien gestured toward the opening. Jinnah swallowed hard and then stepped forward. Inside, she blinked as her eyes adjusted to the dim red lighting. The interior was damaged, but clearly advanced technology. Curved surfaces with no visible controls, materials unlike anything she'd seen before. Then she saw the injured alien lying against the wall. Without hesitation, her medical training took over. She knelt beside the wounded being, opening her bag of supplies. "I need to stop the bleeding," she said, not knowing if they understood. She pointed to the wound and made a pressing motion with her hands. To her surprise, the medical officer moved aside, allowing her access to the patient. Jinnah quickly assessed the injury. While the alien physiology was different, the principles of trauma care seemed applicable. She applied pressure to the wound and began cleaning it with antiseptic. "Commander," Hyunki whispered to Taho, "Confederation protocol demands memory erasure for any contacted primitives. We must report this breach and prepare for cleanup procedures." Taho watched as the human worked with surprising skill, her hands moving confidently despite having no training in alien biology. She spoke softly to Sunwoo, her tone soothing, though he couldn't understand her words. She's saving his life. Tahoe replied quietly. Perhaps we've misunderstood these humans. As Jaina worked, she remained unaware of the silent conversation happening around her. She focused entirely on her patient, applying a hemostatic agent to the wound and using butterfly bandages to close it. The blue blood was thicker than human blood, clotting more quickly. A fortunate biological difference. The tense atmosphere in the ship gradually relaxed as the aliens observed her careful work. Some moved closer, curious about her techniques. Jenna felt their eyes on her, but kept her focus on her patient. Suddenly, a high-pitched alarm blared from a nearby console. The aliens reacted instantly, their postures changing from cautious acceptance to alert tension. Tahoe rushed to the damaged control panel, his expression grave as he read the flashing symbols. "What is it?" Jenna asked, looking up from her patient. Though she couldn't understand their language, the urgent tones and worried glances between crew members told her something serious had happened. One of the aliens operated a device that projected a three-dimensional image in the air, showing what appeared to be their solar system, with an unknown object approaching. "Commander," said Juno, his voice tight with concern, "a harvester scout ship has entered this system. They must have detected our crash." Tahoe's face darkened. Earth was completely unaware of the greater galactic community, with no defenses against what was coming. The harvesters were relentless predators who targeted developing worlds, stripping them of resources, including their inhabitants. He looked at the human woman, still tending to his officer, blissfully unaware that her world now faced an existential threat. "We have much to discuss," Tahoe said gravely, "and very little time." Night had fallen over the forest clearing. Inside the crashed alien ship, Jenna and her team sat around a holographic display that floated in midair. The glowing image showed a menacing vessel approaching Earth's solar system. "These are the harvesters," Commander Tahoe explained, his voice grave. "They search for developing worlds like yours and take everything of value." Jenna studied the predatory shape of the alien ship. "You mean they steal resources?" "Resources, technology, knowledge," Tahoe replied. "And people. To them, intelligent life is just another resource to harvest." The humans exchanged worried glances. What had begun as an exciting scientific discovery was quickly becoming a nightmare. "Why tell us this?" asked Do-Yun, his usual skepticism returning. "Your records show your people have strict rules about not interfering with planets like ours." Tahoe looked at each human face before answering. "Because in just 2 days, I have seen what humans can do. Your approaches to problems are unique." Earlier that day, when the ship's life support system had begun to fail, Minji had created a surprising solution. Using parts from their radio and her own laptop, she had bypassed the damaged alien circuits in a way that even Tahoe's engineers found innovative. Unconventional but effective, Engineer Subin had admitted. Now they sat in a makeshift command center created from the ship's bridge and equipment from the humans' university lab. Solar panels brought by the research team powered both human and alien technology in a hastily integrated system. "How much time do we have?" asked Jaina. "The Harvester Scout ship will reach Earth in 3 days," replied Officer Junot, who monitored the ship's remaining sensors. "Their main fleet will follow once they confirm Earth is unprotected." "Can your people help us?" Minji asked. "The Confederation must have weapons, ships." Tahoe shook his head. "I have sent an emergency signal, but Confederation law is clear. Direct intervention in developing worlds is forbidden. They will send a ship to rescue us, nothing more." The humans fell silent, the enormity of the situation sinking in. Their world faced an alien invasion, and they had only days to prepare with technology they barely understood. "Commander," called Medical Officer Yunji from across the room. "I've completed the biological scans of our human allies. There's something extraordinary here." Everyone gathered around her workstation. On the screen, human DNA structures rotated alongside brain scans that pulsed with strange energy patterns. "What are we looking at?" asked Gina. Psionic potential, Yunji explained. Mental abilities beyond normal sensory perception. All four of you show signs of it, especially you, Jenna. That's impossible, Do-Yun protested. Humans don't have psychic powers. Not active ones, Yunji corrected. But the potential exists in your species. It appears Earth's unique electromagnetic field has suppressed these abilities throughout your evolution. When exposed to our technology, these dormant capabilities begin to awaken. As if to prove her point, the holographic display flickered when Jenna moved closer to it. For a brief moment, the image shifted to show Earth's continents. "Did you do that?" Tahoe asked, eyes wide. I was just thinking about how to warn people back home," Jenna replied, startled. Yunji nodded excitedly. "The neural interface in our systems detected your thought patterns. With training, you might be able to control such systems directly with your mind." The revelation sparked a flurry of activity. The aliens began testing each human for different psionic aptitudes. Jenna showed strong empathic abilities, sensing emotions and intentions. Do-Hyun displayed analytical insight, perceiving patterns in data that even the ship's computers missed. Minji demonstrated technological intuition, understanding, and manipulating alien systems with minimal instruction. "This changes everything," Tahoe said, watching Minji repair a communications array by seemingly guessing which components connected where. "With these abilities, you might stand a chance against the harvesters." Over the next 48 hours, the humans worked tirelessly with their alien allies. They learned about harvester tactics, weaknesses, and technology. The aliens shared what knowledge they could without violating too many protocols. The humans absorbed this information with remarkable speed. In a small clearing outside the ship, Jenna practiced focusing her newfound empathic abilities under Yunji's guidance. "Try to sense my thoughts without words," Yunji instructed. Jenna closed her eyes, concentrating on the alien's mental presence. Faint impressions came to her, not words exactly, but concepts, images, a star system she'd never seen. A home planet with 3 moons. "You miss your home," Jenna said softly, opening her eyes. "A city by a purple sea." Yunji's expression showed she'd succeeded. "Your species learns faster than any I've encountered." Inside the ship, Minji and Subin had created defensive devices using salvage technology combined with Earth components. Simple electromagnetic pulse generators that might disrupt harvester systems. Early warning detectors to track alien movements. "These are just sticks and stones against their weapons," Subin admitted, but cleverly used sticks and stones. On the morning of the 3rd day, both good and bad news arrived simultaneously. The ship's sensors detected a Confederation rescue vessel entering the solar system, but also confirmed that the first Harvester scout had reached Earth orbit. The alien crew prepared for evacuation as their rescue ship approached. Tahoe stood before the humans, conflict evident on his face. "My orders will be to leave immediately, to take all technology and knowledge with us. To report your world for observation but not intervention," he said. "This is our oldest and most sacred law." "While the harvesters destroy our planet?" Do-Hyun asked bitterly. Tahoe looked away. "The Confederation believes interference causes more harm than good. Each species must find its own path." "But you've already interfered by telling us about the threat," Jenna pointed out. "Why stop now?" "Because my career, my freedom, possibly my life will be forfeit if I do more," Tahoe admitted. The humans fell silent. They couldn't blame him for following his people's laws, even if it meant abandoning Earth to its fate. Outside, the forest stirred with unnatural movement. The ship's perimeter alarms activated. "Harvester infiltrators," Juno announced, checking the sensors. "They've sent advanced scouts to assess Earth's defenses." Through the viewports, they caught glimpses of sleek, predatory forms moving through the trees. The first wave of the invasion had begun. At the same moment, the communication system chimed. The Confederation rescue vessel had established contact and was sending landing coordinates. Tahoe faced an impossible choice: follow orders and leave Earth defenseless, or defy centuries of protocol. He looked at the humans who had worked alongside his crew, who had treated them as equals despite their differences. Jenna stepped forward and placed her hand gently on his shoulder. The physical contact amplified her empathic abilities, allowing her to convey her determination directly to his mind. "We deserve the chance to fight for ourselves," she said quietly. "Let us show you what humanity can do." Something shifted in Tahoe's expression, surprise, then resolution. He turned to his crew. "Prepare defensive positions," he ordered. "We are staying." 3 weeks after the crash, the operation had grown beyond anything Tahoe could have imagined. The university's old underground research facility, built during the Cold War, now served as their command center. 65 humans worked alongside his crew of 12 aliens, preparing for a war most of Earth still knew nothing about. "The biggest problem is scale," military strategist Una said, pointing to the global map. The former Special Forces commander had been brought in when the government finally took the alien threat seriously. "We've confirmed Harvester Scouts in 23 locations. We have resources in only 4. Tahoe nodded grimly. The Harvester invasion followed a standard pattern, small teams landing quietly to assess defenses and establish beachheads before the main fleet arrived. It was a slow but effective approach that had doomed dozens of worlds before Earth. "The Harvesters have superior technology," explained Tactical Officer Chuno, showing holographic images of Harvester weapons and ships. "We cannot match their firepower." Several military officers looked discouraged, but Una smiled slightly. "Then we won't try to," she replied. "We'll use approaches they won't expect." This had become their mantra over the past weeks. Unable to fight the Harvesters directly, they focused on guerrilla tactics, misdirection, and unconventional solutions that exploited the invaders' rigid thinking. In the laboratory section, Jenna worked with a group of scientists studying the biological samples from captured Harvester Scouts. 3 had been taken during a raid on their landing site last week, a dangerous mission that proved humans could fight back. They rely heavily on electromagnetic signals for communication, Jenna explained to Yunji. "That's why the jammers have been so effective." Gina's empathic abilities had grown stronger each day. She could now sense the aliens' emotional states, giving her insights into their biology that scientific instruments missed. During the recent raid, she had detected the Harvesters' surprise when facing human resistance. Their arrogance made them vulnerable. In the technology division, Minji stood before a workbench covered with dismantled alien devices, mixed with Earth electronics. Her fingers moved with certainty despite working with technology centuries beyond human development. Since exposure to the Confederation equipment, she could intuitively understand and manipulate alien tech as if she'd studied it her entire life. "The power coupling is ready," she announced, holding up a device that combined a Harvester energy cell with modified Earth components. "It will amplify the EMP by roughly 300% while remaining undetectable to their scanners." Even Subin looked impressed. "Your approach is unorthodox but brilliant." In the strategic planning room, Do-Yun sat quietly with his eyes closed. Since developing his precognitive abilities, he had become crucial to their tactical planning. His visions were incomplete, flashes of possible futures rather than clear predictions, but they had already saved lives during 2 encounters with Harvester Scouts. "They'll target the communications hub next," he said suddenly, opening his eyes. "Within 48 hours, they've realized we're coordinating resistance." Tahoe had broken numerous Confederation laws by now. Using his command codes, he had sent detailed reports to the Confederation Council about humanity's potential, arguing for intervention. The response came exactly as he expected. Direct action was denied. Yet hidden within the official rejection was something unexpected: encrypted technical specifications for defense systems, power generation, and sensor technology. Not enough to build advanced weapons, but enough to give Earth a fighting chance. "It seems I'm not the only one willing to bend the rules," Tahoe told Jinna privately. "Someone on the council agrees with me about your species." The limited information proved enough. Human engineers and scientists, their understanding enhanced by newly awakened abilities, transformed these basic specifications into innovative hybrid systems. What might have taken decades of normal development occurred in weeks. Minji's team created defense stations that combined Earth's nuclear power with Confederation shielding techniques. When placed at strategic locations, they generated invisible barriers that confused harvester sensors. Another team developed communication systems using quantum principles that the harvesters couldn't detect or intercept. This allowed resistance cells around the world to coordinate without revealing their locations. Most importantly, they created weapons. Not the energy cannons or plasma rifles of advanced civilizations, but clever adaptations that exploited harvester weaknesses. Electromagnetic pulse generators that disrupted their neural networks. Sound-based weapons that interfered with their sensory organs. Simple but effective tools for an asymmetric war. On a rainy Tuesday, the harvesters launched their first coordinated attack. 7 teams simultaneously struck major communication centers across the globe, expecting minimal resistance. In the command center, Taiho and the human leaders watched the feeds with tense faces. "Dallas is engaged," reported a communications officer. "London as well." Sydney team reports contact. The harvesters had chosen their targets carefully, striking critical infrastructure that would cripple Earth's ability to mount a unified defense. It was a textbook invasion strategy that had worked on countless developing worlds. But Earth was ready. "Dallas reports harvesters in retreat," came the first update. Then, "London team successful. 3 harvester craft captured intact." One by one, the reports came in. The invaders, expecting primitive resistance, encountered sophisticated traps and ambushes. Their energy weapons found targets protected by modified shields. Their communications were jammed by frequencies they couldn't detect. Their tactical retreat routes were predicted and blocked. In Sydney, a team led by one of Minji's engineers used modified harvester technology against its creators, creating a feedback loop in their ship's power systems that rendered them useless. When the last report came in, a cheer erupted in the command center. All 7 attacks had been repelled, with minimal human casualties and multiple harvester craft and weapons captured. They never expected this level of resistance, Jenna said, having sensed the harvesters' confusion and fear through her empathic connection. They're used to easy victories against unprepared worlds. Tahoe studied the tactical display showing the retreating harvester forces. This was just their first wave. They'll analyze what happened and adapt their approach. "They're adapting," Minji agreed, looking up from her analysis of captured harvester technology. "I can see changes in their encryption patterns already. But so are we. And faster." That night, as they planned their next moves, a message arrived from the orbital monitoring station they'd established using modified Earth satellites. The main harvester fleet had appeared at the edge of the solar system, dozens of massive ships carrying thousands of troops and weapons. "The real war begins now," Tahoe said quietly. But looking at the humans around him, their determination, their rapidly evolving abilities, their unconventional thinking, he felt something unexpected: hope. The massive harvester ships filled the sky like dark clouds. People all over Earth looked up in fear as the alien vessels blocked the sun. This was no longer a secret war. Everyone could see the threat now. In the underground command center, leaders from countries that had once pointed nuclear weapons at each other now sat side by side. The room buzzed with activity as military commanders, scientists, and government officials coordinated Earth's defense. "Russia reports defense systems online," said one operator. "China confirms their shield network is active," said another. "European Union forces are in position." Commander Tahoe watched with amazement. Just 2 months ago, these nations had been suspicious of each other. Now they worked together as if they had been allies for years. "The united human response is unprecedented," Officer Juwu noted. "Even the Confederation took decades to achieve this level of cooperation." Do Yun sat nearby, his eyes closed in concentration. His precognitive abilities had grown stronger through practice and training. The vague flashes of possible futures had become clearer visions that lasted longer. His eyes suddenly opened. "Their main attack will target our largest population centers," he announced. "New York, Tokyo, Mumbai, and Shanghai first. Then a second wave hitting London, Lagos, Cairo, and Mexico City. They plan to cause panic and force quick surrender." Military leaders immediately adjusted their defenses based on his prediction. Taiho had seen experienced Confederation tacticians dismiss such warnings, but these humans trusted Doyun completely. Jana entered the command center, looking tired but determined. Her work helping coordinate the global resistance network had been crucial. Her empathic abilities now extended far beyond simple emotional reading. She could sense intentions, detect deception, and even pick up scattered thoughts from the Harvester forces. "They're coming," she said simply. "Their commander is confident. He believes this will be over by nightfall." General Yuma nodded. "Let's prove him wrong." The attack began exactly as Doyun had foreseen. Harvester ships descended toward major cities, their weapons powering up. They expected to face primitive defenses, perhaps some nuclear missiles or fighter jets. These had proven useless against their shields in previous conquests. Instead, they encountered something entirely unexpected. As the first Harvester vessel approached New York, it triggered a hidden defense system. The hybrid technology Minji's team had created generated an energy field that matched the Harvester's shield frequency, but in reverse phase. The alien ship's protective barrier dissolved like sugar in hot water. Before the Harvesters could adjust, ground-based weapons fired. These weren't conventional explosives, but targeted electromagnetic pulses designed specifically to disable Harvester systems without destroying the ships themselves. Similar scenes played out worldwide. In Tokyo, Harvester vessels found their navigation systems scrambled by devices that mimicked their own control signals. Over Mumbai, they encountered atmospheric disturbances that their sensors couldn't penetrate. Near Shanghai, several ships were caught in invisible tractor fields that pulled them toward waiting capture teams. "We're receiving reports from all fronts," announced a communications officer. "Harvester forces are in disarray. 37 ships disabled, 14 captured intact." The command center erupted in cheers, but Jinnah remained focused. Her mind reached out, sensing the alien commander's reaction. "He's shocked," she reported, "but now he's angry. He's ordering all remaining ships to target our defense centers." Tahoe studied the tactical display showing Harvester ships regrouping. "They're adapting to our countermeasures." "So will we," Minji replied confidently. Her fingers flew across her console as she made real-time adjustments to defense parameters. Teams around the world implemented her changes instantly. The battle raged for hours. Harvester forces would adjust their approach, and Earth's defenders would counter with new tactics. Both sides took losses. Several defense centers were destroyed. Harvester ships fell from the sky or retreated in disarray. By sunset, the tide had clearly turned. The Harvester fleet that had conquered dozens of worlds now struggled against a planet they had dismissed as primitive. Jinnah suddenly straightened in her chair. "I can sense him, the Harvester commander. His guard is down because he's frightened." She closed her eyes, concentrating harder than ever before. "I can see their command ship's location and their retreat protocols." This information allowed Earth forces to coordinate a final counterattack. Disguised ships carrying hybrid weapons approached the Harvester command vessel from multiple directions. When they launched their attack, the alien flagship found its weapons and engines disabled within minutes. The remaining Harvester ships fled, jumping to faster-than-light speed in a disorganized retreat. Earth had won. The following days brought celebration mixed with hard work. Captured Harvester technology accelerated human understanding of space travel, energy production, and medicine. Teams worked to integrate these advances while maintaining Earth's unique approaches that had proven so effective. 3 months later, a new fleet appeared in Earth's orbit, but these ships came in peace, The elegant vessels of the Confederation Council positioned themselves in a ceremonial formation visible from Earth's surface. In a historic broadcast watched by billions, the Council representatives met with Earth's leaders. The Grand Hall of the United Nations had been chosen for this momentous occasion. For the first time in Confederation history, announced Council Representative Sioyan, her translator converting her words to Earth languages, we have unanimously voted to reclassify a civilization from Class C to Class A. Exceptional potential. Earth will be invited to join the Confederation not as a protected world, but as an equal member. The assembly broke into applause. Sioyan continued once it quieted. Your species has something rare in the galaxy, she said, looking at the assembled human leaders. You don't just survive, you thrive in adversity. And most remarkably, you maintain compassion, even for those different from yourselves. She gestured to Commander Tayo, who stood proudly beside his crew. When these officers chose to help you despite our non-interference laws, you treated them as allies, not as curiosities or tools. You showed the same respect to captured harvester soldiers, providing medical care rather than revenge. Later that evening, as celebration parties began around the world, Taho completed his final official report. Jana found him working alone in a quiet corner of the command center. What will happen to you? She asked. You broke your people's most important rule. Taho smiled. The council has granted full pardons to my crew. They recognized that sometimes rules must be broken for the greater good. She read the last line of his report on the screen. Humanity's greatest strength was never visible through our monitoring. It remained in the shadows until challenged. The unique combination of adaptability, innovation, and empathy that may one day change the galaxy itself. Do you really believe that? Jenna asked. Taho looked out the window at the night sky, where both Confederation ships and Earth satellites now orbited together. New stars in a very old universe. I do, he said quietly. The Confederation has existed for thousands of years, following the same patterns, the same rules. We've achieved great things, but we've also become static. Your people remind us what it means to face the unknown with courage and creativity. Jana smiled. So what happens next? Everything, Taho replied. Your people will reach the stars. You'll join the council. And if I know humans at all, you'll immediately start suggesting better ways to do things. Earth had emerged from the shadows of obscurity into the light of a much larger community. Humanity's hidden strengths were hidden no more. The end.